And just a quick introduction, Dr. Ryan Brown. He's an emergency room physician at the Children's Hospital OU Medical Center. And what we're here to talk about today is concerns, growing concerns among doctors, poison control centers, even the CDC, about exposures, particularly involving children, to the liquid in electronic cigarettes. And the numbers are up dramatically, 200% increase in calls to poison control centers nationwide. So Dr. Brown's going to give you a little bit of background about why the devices are a danger, and then also some information on how much is in them and what happens if there is an exposure, and then ultimately what to do. Then we'll just open it up for questions.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Brown, with that, I will.
All right. Good morning. Thank you for coming to see us today. The main concern that we were talking about at the conference this morning is about the risks and the hazards of the new e-cigarettes that are out in the market. The main concern that we have as emergency medicine physicians and poison control personnel are the risks of the nicotine that are in there. Nicotine is obviously a harmful drug to everybody. The difference with nicotine as opposed to some of the other drugs that are out there is it can be absorbed not only through the skin but through the mouth and any type of really mucosa in the body. So when we talk about kids are able to absorb a lot more, or it takes a lot less of the poison or the chemical to cause a reaction in the child. For example, when we talk about the risks and the dangers of the e-cigarettes, and it's mainly the refills in and of themselves. So this is a 15 milliliter container. So this is 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon worth could hold of fluid. And so with the vapes or the liquid that you would use as a refill, this could contain enough of that nicotine if it's the 18 milligrams per milliliter. So at 18 milligrams per milliliter, this would contain enough fluid to kill 3 grown men. All right, and it also contains, those e-cigarettes can also get it in 36 milliliters, 36 milligrams per milliliter, so that basically could contain enough fluid to kill 6 grown men if it was concentrated. So that's 6 grown men. If I've got a kid that gets into it, obviously that could cause some harmful effects. Studies have shown that kids can actually ingest 5 milliliters or a teaspoon of fluid without even knowing what they're tasting or if they've even ingested anything. Luckily, over the years, we've only had 1 death related to e-cigarettes, and the young lady actually injected herself with the fluid, which caused the harmful effects with that. The harmful effects physically that can occur with the e-cigarettes, with the liquid more so, can be devastating to children. It can cause cardiac arrhythmias, it can cause nausea, it can cause vomiting, it can cause seizures as well. And if not presented to a healthcare facility in the right time, can actually lead to death if the amount is overwhelming to the child. We are working in great partnership with the Poison Control Centers of Oklahoma and nationwide to, if you have a child that you think has been ingested with the vapes or the liquid, to please call 1-800-222-1222. That's our Poison Control Center number. They actually have a free app that you can put on your Android or iPhone device. That way you have it emergency where you can just open it, push the button, and it calls it automatically for you. One of the things that I've also have seen in the emergency department as concern is the kids like to play with it. They have, obviously they look neat, they look cool. To me, they look like a lightsaber maybe. But some of the other e-cigarettes actually look like cigarettes, and they have a light that pops up when the kids can suck on it or blow it, and the light pops up. There's some smoke that comes out, and so the kids really think it's a toy. So they can potentially play with it and not know that the risks of getting it. The average cigarette has about 2 milligrams worth of nicotine that's in it. And with one cigarette, usually what we have seen in the past is a child may start eating the cigarette. It tastes bad, they spit it out. They really rarely get that 2 milligrams. But like we said earlier, with the concentrate, this concentrate here has has the amount of having, several hundred cigarettes in that one container. And again, the kid can drink that entire amount without even knowing what it is. And with it having a bubblegum flavor, a chocolate flavor, or some other type of nice exotic flavor to it, obviously they don't think anything about it because it smells good. It may even taste fairly good as well. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions or any concerns that anybody has in regards to the e-cigarettes or the vapor liquid in regards to poisonings in children and adults.
Well, we see the numbers here on the current trend. What have you actually seen in the ER?
Well, what I've seen personally is one of the cases that I've seen that I can talk about is a young man. Mom came in frantic. She had called the poison control, and the kid had had gotten the cigarette, and Mom had seen for the last several minutes, unbeknownst to her, he was sucking and blowing, and it was just making this nice little cool smoke. And he was old enough only to vote smoke. And Mom panicked, and she called poison control, and they told her to come in. Now, luckily, we watched him for quite some time. He had no symptoms, and he was able to go home later that evening. So, personally, I've seen the kids that are just playing with them like toys.
So is the concern smoking those electronic cigarettes, or is it getting into the liquid?
It's actually getting into the liquid. Yeah, it's the liquid itself that's the main concern, because it's basically concentrated nicotine, and the nicotine is what causes the heart arrhythmias, the seizures, the nausea, the vomiting, that causes the ill effects to the child. It's not actually the device itself. It's the chemical inside the device that's the concentrate. That's the concern.
So if that 115-milliliter container can kill 3 men, I mean, just a sip could kill a child.
Oh yes, oh yes, and and the vape or the liquid comes in various concentrations, and that's why it came out, so you could slowly trend off or tailor off the amount of nicotine that you're putting in your body. But again, with that being the most concentrate, it can kill. That right there could kill 6 men at the most concentrated level. But even at some of the smaller concentrated levels, that can kill even a child.
And if it gets on your skin?
It can be absorbed. We've actually had, not here, but there is this case study of a woman falling asleep in her e-cigarette breaking, and the liquids coming onto contact with her skin, and she getting sick because of the liquid, coming onto her skin.
Not as bad as ingesting it, though.
Well, it depends. Well, if a child had a large amount on their skin, it could cause some effects, yes.
That one death that you were talking about, was that local?
It was not local, no.
Okay. So what's the takeaway here for parents?
The takeaway is really just like any other medication, just like any other medicine that you have in the house. This is a medicine. This is a chemical. Keep it out of the reach of your child. I mean, put it away, lock it away. It's just as deadly as a gun. It's just as deadly as any other chemical that you have in your house. And so, just because you don't think of it that way, the child doesn't know any better. So keep that out of reach of children. For grown-ups, the takeaway that I have for grown-ups is e-cigarettes and the vapors are not regulated by the FDA at this point. A lot of chemicals, or a lot of the fluid that comes to the vape shops can come anywhere from the United States to around the world. They've actually done a study at one of the universities, not locally, that have shown that there have been trace amounts of heavy metals, zinc and copper and tin, that have been found in the liquids, and those in and of themselves can cause health concerns when basically ingested directly into the lungs. So there's no regulation. You can get various amounts of the concentrate, and it's one of those things that you don't know really what you're getting when you're getting it from the internet or somewhere else.
There's a lot of dangers out there. Parents have to keep in mind, even just under the regular sinks. I mean, would you think that this might be one of the faster growing ones that we've seen lately?
Oh, exactly. I mean, if you look at the statistics, the number of calls in 2003 were 600% increase over 2012. 2013, thank you. Just from the beginning of this year alone, we've had a huge increase of calls to poison control, and a lot of those have been, at least over two-thirds of them have to come straight to the emergency department for evaluation and treatment. So since the onset of the e-cigarette rage, if you will, we've shown statistically an increase in calls to poison control and visits to the emergency department because of kids ingesting the liquid nicotine. We haven't seen a death.
Come out with this alert for parents that the numbers are up so greatly that it's the fear that we will see a...
Right. It's not as if we will see one. It's almost, I hate to say it, it's almost when we will see it. And like we said, the one death that we have accounted for was a suicide attempt. But like I said, with this being absorbed in the skin, there's not to say that somebody can get it on their skin. They're working on it. They're trying to refill and stuff, that they're going to get sick or such. So that's my concern, is the kids can, the potential is there. And so we just have to get the word out that if we can prevent that, that'd be great.
So having an e-cigarette in the house is obviously a lot more dangerous than having a traditional cigarette in the house.
Having any type of chemical or medication in the house is dangerous, whether it's your grandmother's Tylenol with codeine, or her aspirin, or any type of medication, chemical, e-cigarette, regular cigarette. We're going to tell parents, you need to make sure that these are properly stored, properly placed away from children, so that they don't get into it. Because, again, kids are not little adults. Kids' metabolisms are different. They can ingest different things. And they're quick. I mean, if you've had a child, you turn your back 1 second and they're already into grandma's heart medications. They're already into, I look at this, oh, this is a neat little toy. A lot of these contraptions aren't safety sealed. I mean, they're just, I can just, twist it off. Cool, oh, there's liquid. And now I've already gotten into it.
Because of the concentrations, it does not take much, correct?
It's
Small child?
in a small child, even in an adult, it doesn't take much. I mean, anywhere from less than a teaspoon can harm and potentially kill a child.
If they call you and they come in after something like this has happened, what do you guys do?
Well, just for this in particular, we have to obviously monitor their heart, monitor their vital signs. Some of the medicines that we may have to give to them is just to kind of counter the effects of the nicotine that they've ingested. So it's very serious that, again, depending upon the amount or how they got into it, may see that they may just be there for a 1-hour visit and we can let them go. They may be there overnight, and they may have bought a ticket to the intensive care unit because of the effects. So it just depends on how much and the circumstances for which they got it. So it may be nothing, and it may be we're throwing IVs into this kid and we're pumping them full of fluids and medications to counter the effects of the nicotine.
There's always been concern with secondhand smoking. Is there any dangers about secondhand vaping?
Vapes. And that's a great question. It's a great concern. They're relatively new, that we really haven't gotten the data yet to find that out. It is more of a vapor. It's a condensation of the liquid that is kind of basically is going to fall down and vaporize in the air. But there's not really been any long-term studies to look at how that's going to affect not only your coworkers or children in the workplace. So that's going to be something that here over the next several years are going to come out and see. And most workplaces don't have a policy set in place about e-cigarettes. Well, we won't allow you to smoke cigarettes, but there's not really a policy in place about e-cigarettes. Now, obviously, they smell good. You don't have to deal with the soot and the smell of your coworker coming in from outside, and your productivity is not as bad. But again, we don't know just of yet if we've just changed the definition, and now secondhand smoke and secondhand vape are going to be the same thing 2 or 3 years from now when the research comes out.
You mentioned to me that the refills come
You can purchase them from anywhere from 5 milliliters, which is a teaspoon. You can purchase them up to 60 milliliters. Online in certain places, you can actually buy a liter refill, and I've actually seen we can actually buy a gallon worth of e-refill. And they come in different concentrations, obviously, as well. But depending on how hard you want to find them, most places carry them from a teaspoon up to maybe 60 or twice this size that you can buy at the local shop. But online, the possibilities are endless.
What was the highest concentration you found?
The highest concentration I had seen and then heard about was the 100 milligrams per milliliter. And that's how the highest concentration that I found locally in stores is the 36 milligrams per milliliter. That's the most common highest concentration that I have seen. But there's the details that you can even, again, unregulated can get them even more concentrated.
And again, how much does it take to kill somebody?
The take to kill somebody, so if you look at it mathematically, and I'll save you the statistics as far as math goes, so it's been shown that the 18 milligrams per milliliter concentration, 5 milliliters, or a teaspoon, potentially has the effect to kill a 180-pound man. So a teaspoon of just the middle-of-the-road liquid, if ingested at one time, can kill a 180-pound man.
How quickly?
It's going to be probably within an hour or 2 or 3, because it's going to absorb into the body so quickly. It's going to cause the cardiac arrhythmias. That's going to cause the problem.
Are there symptoms you would see in a child?
With the kids, the most common that we've seen overall are the nausea and vomiting. You just ask any high school kid that puffed on their first cigar how they feel, and they're going to be headache, nausea, vomiting, just get that green look when we all kind of think about what someone did when they first started puffing on a cigarette or a cigar. So it's going to be more gastrointestinal. I'm nauseated, mommy, I'm not feeling good, I'm sick, I threw up, I got a headache, I don't feel good. Those are going to be the common things. And hopefully it's one of those things, well, why do you feel that way? Or maybe they're carrying this, and we can pick up on those effects first before they present to the point where it becomes what the cardiac arrhythmias or the seizures.
Can you touch on the flavors? I know a lot of the flavors that are being marketed are like Cinnamon Toast Crunch and chocolate and stuff like that.
You're right. I mean, you can almost imagine any type of flavor. There's chocolate, and there's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and anything that's out there. And you open it up and you can smell it, and it smells very similar to what cinnamon and the such. And so if I've got a kid and I'm just got something laid out, and oh, that smells good, I want to go ahead and eat it or drink it because it smells like something nice that I would like. So that's one of the other potentials that we are concerned about is, the kids, they usually, if something smells bad or looks bad, they may not get into it. But the smaller kids, they're like, ooh, this looks good, boom, and it's too late before we can get to it.
The really little kids, toddlers,
Mm-hmm.
tend to put everything in their mouth.
Everything goes in their mouth.
So when you see something like this, the fact that it's not a child-proof,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of them aren't child-resistant, I
Right.
would say child-proof, there's a chance that they could ingest liquid just through a loose.
Yeah, a loose stool, and again, just with me, with them just putting it in their mouth can be loose enough to twist off, and it can leak out and then be absorbed in the mouth fairly quickly.
And the mouth, as I understand it, takes in stuff very well.
It is very highly vascularized with the blood vessels that go through there, that we even have medications that you put in your mouth that's how it's quickly it's absorbed. So with the liquids already in there and it's highly concentrated, it can be absorbed fairly quickly, and within minutes the kids can start having the symptoms of toxicity.
Have you seen any studies showing who the primary user of this is? Is it someone trying to stop smoking and use it as a substitute? People that never smoke picking it up because they think this is healthier?
Well, yes, and yes. There's a whole magnitude of reasons why people pick it up. You're right. It's the folks that are trying to quit smoking because, again, that's how it's marketed. You start with the highly concentrated concentration of the vape, and you slowly over time decrease the amount of nicotine that you're getting to where now you can actually buy it with nicotine free. And that's slowly how you do it. You do it to people that are trying to save money. This device is initially and upfront may cost you some money, but in the long run, like I said, something to that effect, what you can get for $16. A pack of cigarettes is about $5, and that's several packs of, well, not even several, that's several cartons of cigarettes right there. So in the long run, you're saving money. You've got people that are living with a smoker, and I'm sick of having to paint my walls every year. So you're not getting the soot and the stuff that comes, and the smell that comes with it. For kids picking up smoking, 90% of people that smoke have picked it up before the age of 18, and now with this being a little bit more of a vogue type thing with the designer taste and smells and the such, and how it looks, we're probably going to see a lot of those the younger folks picking it up because of that. Now there have been studies. New York has actually I think actually passed it to where you can't start smoking until you're 21 now. A lot of the thought process is if we make these more expensive, then the younger people can't. If you don't start, you can't continue. To where if we drive the price up, they can't afford it. 16-year-olds can't afford to start smoking because of that. So there's a whole variety of reasons on why people start smoking and may even make the switch over to the vapes. Because again, if instead of bumming a cigarette, I can now bum a vape off of somebody, and they're just pass it back and forth.
Could you take that and just hold it in your hand there for a second?
I feel like Alice in Wonderland. What's the cat that does the hookah? Cheshire cat. Yeah. I can.
Is that an actual refill?
No, it's actually eye drops. But that's the only. But they come in the containers are exactly like this. Yeah, they look exactly like this. Some of them, again, none of them that I've seen have a childproof cap, and most of them are droppers. When you open that up, you just kind of drop. You just drop it down in there, and such. And they'll just have the labels and the concentration. So yeah, anybody can go online, and of course, are you 18? Yeah, click. And now I'm in, and I have 14-year-old, 12-year-old can go online and buy as many of these as they want, as long as they have mom and dad's PayPal or credit card. So, thank you all.